am so glad that you have joined me here in the Empowered to Lead show. As I get going with this podcast, I wanted to share a bit more about who I am and what you can expect to hear woven through the various shows here. I would say that I have 4 core values that play out in how I show up for Canadian group practice owners. They are be authentic, create efficient systems, be an effective leader, and value your time and energy. So this shows up in everything that I teach, everything that I share, who I am as a person, a coach, and now as a podcast host. So authenticity is at the core of everything I do. I know that you have options for both the podcasts you listen to and the support you receive as a group practice owner. While I may not say that I am an expert in all things group practice, I will say that I will tell you the truth about who I am, what you can expect from me, and what this role of group practice owner, or GPO, can look like for you. This includes sharing hard stories, funny stories, my mistakes and successes, and the same from any guests that I have here. I also want to be inquisitive, and if I don't know the answer to a question you pose, I will search it out and find it for you. I also believe that creating efficient systems is essential for your success. I believe that it's important for you to work smarter and not harder. And this builds a business that runs smoothly behind the scenes. And while there are a number of different systems for small businesses, and they are going to look different for each one of you, the core ones that I address are those that include your client experience, your therapist experience, and your relationship with finances and your business. To start with, I encourage everyone to create a blueprint for your business. I believe that it is important to know why you are starting a group practice and where you want it to go. And that is so hard to do. It's so much more fun to get started and to make things happen and see how they go. And yet, if you slow down and really create a path and know why you're doing things, everything works out so much better. Having this spelled out helps you to come back to it as you start a group practice, then as you consider whether it's time to add people or services. And then when you get larger and you're contemplating how large you want your business to be, coming back to that blueprint is essential. It's your shiny object syndrome avoider plan. It's essentially a business plan, but people's eyes tend to glaze over when I call it that term. So I call it the group practice blueprint. The key components of this blueprint are woven into everything that I teach in any forum I am in. I believe that these key elements will help you move forward with confidence and success. So what is in the blueprint? And at the core of what I'll be sharing here in this podcast, this starts with knowing the following. What are your core values? What are your core financial values? Who is your ideal client? So that really is starting with who do you currently serve in your own clinical practice and who do you want your group practice to serve? Identifying this person or those people helps you decide your marketing strategy, who you want to hire, and what training you want them to have, and then how you want to expand your team. Identify who your competition is. Know what makes your group practice stand out, who your ideal client is, why they would choose you over your competitor, and then also who you can network with to build a good referral base within your community. Out of these core identities, as a business, flow your systems. If you know who you're serving, what you stand for, that shows up in how you run your business, both with your therapists and your clients. It provides people with confidence in choosing to work with you. Effective leadership is one of my core values. One of the things that I think is so important for setting you up for success, both in getting started and in continuing and growing your business. Once you have the blueprint and your systems defined, you can start to step into your CEO role and lead with clarity, confidence, and intention. knowing why you exist, where you're going, and how you want to get there, and then making course corrections along the way. Being an effective leader doesn't mean that you will always get it right and that you will not make any mistakes. Effective leadership means that you are real, you're authentic, you own up to your mistakes, you know what you want and expect from people, you show how that will play out in your group practice, and then that trickles down into what type of culture you are creating. One of the things that I hear quite often from group practice owners is that they don't want to be seen as the leader or the boss or the manager or whatever word that they put with that to be, I'm in power and I don't want that over people. And yet your team is looking for you to be their leader. They joined a group practice because they didn't want to have to lead or to manage all of the things. They want to know that you are able to make decisions and have difficult conversations. They want to know that you're going to create, implement, and hold healthy boundaries and systems so that they know you care enough about them to protect them, yourself, and your business. For example, if you have a therapist who has a client who is not paying for their sessions, you have a few choices. You can choose to let it slide because you don't want the client to miss out on the help that they're getting or needing. However, if the client doesn't pay, they aren't honoring the therapist that they're working with, and they're also not honoring your business. When you step in and reinforce your cancellation policy, it's going to be hard at first. You don't want to be the bad guy, and yet the client will honor that in the long run. They will know that you mean what you say. Your therapist will see that you value their work and their time, and you won't resent the client or the therapist for your business's behalf and not being able to cover costs. So being able to balance that, to know what your boundaries are, what your systems are, and then following through on that creates an effective leadership style. The third core element that you're going to hear me teach about is that I believe it is imperative for you to value your time and energy. So many group practice owners put so much out there. They put their heart and their soul into this business that they're creating. They want to make it so that it's a place where contractors or employees, whatever relationship you have, the therapists who come and join you, you want them to stay. You don't want them to go. And then you end up burning out and you don't have a practice or a business that is serving you, that's honoring your time, your energy, and your effort. And those things matter. So what does that mean for you as a GPO? I want you to make sure that you get paid properly. Do you know how many group practice owners I talk to that are either not paying themselves at all or a very low salary because they're making sure everybody else is getting paid? Typically, this isn't because they haven't, typically this is because they haven't valued their own time and energy, but they also haven't spent time creating a financial picture that covers the costs of having a business, which includes a salary for them or some kind of compensation for all of those things, that time, energy, effort, all the time that you spend thinking on your business. One of my favorite concepts is that you can either choose guilt or resentment. If you feel guilty, it's often because you're trying something new or you're afraid to hurt someone else's feelings, or you feel so bad or guilty because you're causing them discomfort. However, if you don't follow through on a boundary or a system you've created, then you open up the door to start resenting a person or your business or a system because you feel taken advantage of or misunderstood. Resentment will eat away at you, and it's going to take away your fulfillment and joy in your role as a group practice owner. Guilt will fade once you get better at holding your boundaries and valuing yourself and your business. Make sure that you are compensated for the time, energy, and effort that you put into your group practice and your team. Don't take advantage of people and, you're getting rich off of everyone, but make sure that you're fairly compensated. We're going to talk about this often on this podcast, I'm sure. So just to recap, some of the core values, some of the themes that you're going to hear me talking about on this podcast is how do you be empowered to lead? So at the core of that is efficient systems, making sure that you are authentic, that you can show up truly in all the circumstances, whether you're getting coaching from me or you're leading a therapist or you're talking to a client, you can be authentic. I want you to be an effective leader. You're going to hear so many conversations about what it means to lead well and effectively. And I want you to value your time and your energy. So here we go. I'm looking forward to all the conversations that encompass these core values. I have a freebie. I have a freebie that is available to you if you follow the podcast and join my newsletter. This is a worksheet in how to figure out how to value your time. What is your time worth? And so this is just a quick little worksheet that helps you get a picture of how do I put a number on this? How do I value my time and my energy? And I would like to invite you to join us in the Group Practice Connection. It's our membership that I offer. We have monthly calls where we talk about some of this stuff, and we create group practices in Canada that are run well, efficiently, and are fun. I trust that you found today's information to be helpful and to help move you forward. If you like what you are hearing, I'd encourage you to follow the show, like it, and share it with your fellow group practice owners. We'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me on Empowered to Lead, the therapist practice. If you're ready for deeper support, I'd love to see you inside the Group Practice Connection, my monthly membership where Canadian therapists like you get coaching, community, and the tools to build a business that actually supports your life. You can check it out at grouppracticenetwork.ca. We're building something great here, and I'm so glad you're a part of it.
This is Michelle Abraham, and we are honored to have Lisa Catallo's Empowered to Lead podcast on our High Vibe Podcast Network. For more shows like hers and to grab your free gift from the gift fold, head on over to highvibepodcastnetwork.com.